Good evening, laddies, lasses and lasses. Welcome to the click. You smell awful today. You see that? I was confidently incorrect, which very smoothly segues us into today's video. r/confidently correct. It's the best opinions presented in the best possible way online. That is right. Factually incorrect statements, very confidently stated for our comedic relief. And also to boost our confidence. You are insecure about that stupid thing you said 5 years ago? Well, it probably pales in comparison to the things we'll see in this video. Enjoy. That is so good, right? Yeah, feel good about yourself because others are silly. Very nice. It's kind of like Schadenfreude, but for like for like intelligence. It's beautiful.
Not necessarily welding related, but those of you not in the United States, who is the metric system? When you say how much gas you have left in your car, do you say, oh, I only have a quarter of tank of gas left? Or do you say, oh, I only have 6.5 milliliters of gas left? I think I've proven my point as to which measurement system is the far superior one.
What do you mean? God, there are so many things to deconstruct. Okay, first off, saying something is a quarter left is not part of like the metric system or the imperial system. It's just saying there's a quarter of something. It's percentages. Secondly, millimeter isn't a measure of volume or percentage for that matter. It's just distance. So like this is just wrong all over the place. Of course you would think a measurement system is bad if you don't even use like the right dimension for what you're measuring. God. Man, this video is off to a strong start. I already feel violently upset. Scribophile is good.
Sketchy name though. And it is not surprising that Reddit, a community famous for naughty stuff with children, would be upset by a comment drawing a connection to the big bad P word. I understand that Scribophile is likely not intending this, but given the closeness of the two words and certainly the hotness of the issue in modern culture, it's a poor name. Downvote me all you won't. You can't listen where I'm coming from. You're also part of the problem.
God, my throat. Okay, let's Google this real quick, shall we?
Scribophile, I can spell.
The writing group and online writing workshop sounds pretty frickin' innocent, if you ask me. I must say though, I have seen iterations of this take so many times in the online world, I think I've lost count. It is astounding. It's like, oh my god, this word sounds kind of similar to this word over here. Most of the time, it's not even the same language. I mean, I suppose in this case it is, but sometimes it isn't. I've seen people call out like words from different languages and be like, that sounds kind of shady. It's like, fam, it's a different language. The frick! Didn't Twitter try to cancel crayons a while ago because it says black in Spanish in one of the translations for the crayons? You know, on the black crayon.
This is how we fix the world. Yes!
She di spada frisch napoli sparaish. Frickin' nailed that one. Sorry, I don't speak Mexican. What does that mean? Mexican is not a language. You stupid! What the frick do you think Mexicans be speaking? Spanish. Also, that's not Spanish, that's Italian! This thread is amazing. Oh, I love these kind of threads. There's so many layers of just, oh my god, why?
Giri spada, frisch napoli sparish.
You see, freaking nailed it. All you have to do to speak fluent Italian is just to do this. If we have any Italians in the comments, please confirm. And only confirm if I'm right. Convenient. Moving on.
Cow milk was literally made for humans.
Cow milk is literally made for baby cows.
When do you think they start producing the milk? It's when the baby cows are made. What?
God created Adam and Steve? No. God created a cow that then gave its milk to humans. Eve was made of cow milk, not from ribbed. Steve was moving on. I swear some people are so stupid. I was on the train and two nerds thought the sun was a star. It actually makes me sad. But what is it you think it is then? If it's not a star, please continue. Like, I would love to hear the continuation of this and just watch you dig your own grave as you try to justify what it is instead of a star. Maybe there's a flat earth thing. Maybe it's like, oh my god, it's just a big light that's glued on the bowl around the little soup that surrounds Earth. This is a pole? Well, it's an artificial saltwater reservoir, and people call it a pool, so I don't make the rules.
If it's artificial, how is it salt water?
Well, see, first you get some water, and then you get some salt, and the rest is clearly a mystery.
Okay, now the salt is in the layer at the bottom, lol.
Salt dissolves in water.
Not naturally,
But what about every freaking ocean? God! I am so confused right now. Yes, it does. If you put salt in water, it will dissolve. Salt is soluble in water. You don't need to stir it or boil it. You just put more than needed to reach the soluble limit. All that salt will dissolve and there won't be any on the bottom. Did you seriously say that salt in water isn't natural, while like, you know, literal oceans exist? Is that the argument here? Wow, the internet is really going downhill rapidly. You know, democracy and internet are beautiful because it gives a voice to everyone. There are definitely downsides to it though. SAT math problem. Question. A hammer and a nail cost $1.1 and a hammer costs $1 more than a nail. How much does the nail cost?
So easy for me, yes, 10 cents.
Isn't it 1.05 for the hammer, so the nail costs 5 cents? Yes, that is the correct solution.
Well, the hammer plus nail is $1.1. If the nail is $1 less than the hammer, it would be 10 cents.
And then comes the beautiful twist. I think we've had this math problem in another video, but look at the top! Man thinks he's smart, saying it's 5 cents, posted to r/confidentlycorrect. So you doubled down by calling the person with the right answer stupid? Alright, let's do this together, shall we? Because this is a bit of a trick question for the specific numbers used. I figured, let's do a little bit of click-a-could-me paint! Woo! Well, click academy. I basically have a PhD because my writing is basically doctor. Alright, so the rule for equations like this and solving them is that every separate equation you have can solve one variable. Unless you count parameter solutions, but that's a bit above the top for this specific problem. So we know that a hammer and a nail, we can call it h plus n, right? Hammer and nail is costing a total of 1.1. And then we know that the hammer costs $1 more than the nail. So the hammer is going to cost $1 more than the nail. So the hammer is basically 1 plus n, right? So these are the two equations that we are given in the initial part of the problem. So the best way to solve something like this is just to put one equation inside of the other. So in this case, I would argue that we put the h inside of that h. And we know that h is this part, which means that we essentially put this part of the equation up here instead. And what we get is 1 plus n is 1.1. And with some simplification here, plussing the n's together, moving the 1 over to that side, means that we have 2n is equal to, running out of space, 0.1. So n is equal to 0.05. Excellent. And if we put this n back in one of the initial equations, means that we have h plus n equals 1.1, which of course means that h has to be 1.05. And if we put this n back in one of the initial equations, we can easily break out what the value of h would be, which also means that h would be equal to 1.05. That is how you solve it, and if you want to check that this answer is actually correct, you can try putting both of these numbers that you now extracted into the initial equation. So you would get 1.05 plus n, which is 0.05, and that is 1.1, so it seems to be correct and in appropriate line with the equation. So a lot of these questions are written as trick answers. You know, it's 1.1 for a reason because they're talking about $1 difference, and your brain will automatically assume that 1 is gonna be part of the answer, but it isn't. So writing it like this in a concise way and then double checking the equations with your final numbers is a glorious way of doing it, because if you do this on your own math test, you will actually be able to confirm that the answer is correct without even, having gotten the test back. If you put your numbers back in the initial equation and it adds up, you have the right answer. So, yay, math life hacks with Clicky Thicky. Next meme! I agree if that's the point you were trying to make. But when you say crocodile mouth 70, it means less than 70, which is a pretty broad statement and is wrong. So we didn't say the same thing essentially. Wait, means less than 70. It doesn't, though. What? No, dude, it means greater than. The alligator wants to eat the bigger number. 90, 70, for example. I mean, yeah, that's a good memory of rule. My memory of rule I've always had is the bigger number points to the smaller. You're tiny! That's my rule of thumb. Then it would have been worded as 0.70, which the arrow points in the other direction. No, but that's still, that the big number still points to the small one. You can have multiple numbers in a row that point to each other, but no! What? No? If you think of that as an arrow, the point of the arrow faces the smaller number. Source, how old are you? Oh, you're an idiot! Go read what you just said me thoroughly and don't worry about my age. The arrow has the smaller side pointed and the number 70 means 70. Take this L. Oh, nice. I love 13-year-old Twitter kids arguing math on Reddit. This is beautiful. Oh, sweet content.
Yes! They use aborted fetal cells to flavor Coke and Mountain Dew, to name a few. Yes, it's freaking true, and yes, it's very disgusting and disturbing.
Oh, that new line of Coke with fetus flavor. Looking forward to it already. Oh, yes, indeed. Just one question. Why, though? Why would you go through the trouble in the first place? Where's the motive? god!
But sir, you used a whole bag of flour.
Flower.
Nah, bro, it's flour.
How? How is it a flower?
Synonyms, my dude.
Look, you being dyslexitive is not the same as a synonym. No, that's just, no. None. No. 3 in 5 patients support striking health workers, our poll has revealed.
That's awfully close to less than 50%. Take a hint.
That is 60%. That is 10% more than 50%.
Awfully close. 3 in 5 is very close to 2 in 5, which would be 40%. My point being that I bet they rounded up.
Wait, so you're saying they had 60-40 as the result and they rounded it so they just flipped the numbers? That's not how rounding works. That is so stupid. That is so stupid. My god.
Just a reminder that the volcano in Greece has put more CO2 in the atmosphere in 24 hours than humans have in our entire existence.
I would love to see the math breakdown on this because I think they missed a bunch of zeros.
But if we miss zeros, it doesn't matter because 0 is 0.
Very good. Not even slightly true.
Actually it is. Did the math myself. Double checked. Thanks though. Today has been equally helpful for everyone to make sure you and your people like you are not on their lists.
What on earth? What is this with... This has 80,000 likes! 80,000 people saw a tweet that said, you know, like the entirety of human civilization since literally industrial evolution, also like, you know, cattle and stuff, if you count the time before that, has produced less CO2 than one little volcano fart? Are you actually kidding me? Yeah, sure. Okay, I'm intrigued. I'm actually gonna Google this. I'm gonna Google the numbers. Hold on. How much CO2 has humanity made total, or whatever? Since 1751, the world has emitted over 1.5 trillion tons of CO2. Okay, let's see now. Volcano, Greece, CO2, produce or whatever. Oh, here's like an article talking about exactly these tweets. That is amazing. Fact check: volcanoes do not produce more CO2 emissions than human activity. They've actually made articles to counter these tweets. That is amazing. Wait, this is Italy. Okay, so different volcano, but same argument, I suppose. Europe's highest and most active volcano does not produce 10,000 times more carbon dioxide, CO2, than mankind has in our entire life on Earth. According to the US Geological Survey, published scientific estimates of the global CO2 emissions for all on-land and submarine volcanoes lie in a range of 0.13 gigaton to 0.44 gigaton per year. This is a fraction of the CO2 produced by human activity. In 2021, the global CO2 emissions from energy combustion and industrial processes alone reached a record high of 36.3 billion tons. So comparing these two numbers, you can see that one is 0.13 and 0.44, the other one is 36. And that's, you know, during a single year. So, I don't see it. It feels like they just flipped the numbers somehow. Or just completely misunderstood what billions and giga means when it's basically the same thing. I don't know, this is kind of wild. It's very funny though. It's very entertaining to see Twitter do math. Don't stop, Twitter, please. I need content. Thank you. Barbarity and sadism aren't the same, son.
They're synonyms.
What is with these trends of like claiming everything is a synonym? Oh, I used the wrong word or misspelled something? Synonym, son. Nope.
Google is your friend.
Not your friend though, I guess. That is such a good reply. I applaud you, good stranger.
Damar Hamlin died from the vaccine. The NFL faked his injury for a money scheme and to shut down the narrative. That's why they refused to show his face. Wake up!
Spoiler, Damar Hamlin is alive and well. Wait a second. So you like faked someone's death on Twitter or claimed they had died for your anti-vax propaganda, but they're not even dead? That is so good. Oh my god. Twitter has reached peak performance. Oh, this is beautiful. This is the face of a person who has nothing to regret about its life. It's. Alright, firstly, it's. And secondly, it's not it's her. Thirdly, that's not how commas work. Lemao, firstly, that's an apostrophe, not a comma. Secondly, the apostrophe shows ownership. So yes, it's. This. No. What is it with like arguing basic grammar? There are so many beautiful hills out there to die on, right? There are so many good options of hills to die on for like legitimately good causes, or at least when the morals are good, but maybe you're just being silly in the way you're arguing. And you choose this? Like 5th grade grammar on Reddit? This is what my life has accumulated to. This is the hill I die on.
Madonna lives on controversy. She always has. Her stage name is Madonna to piss off a Catholic father, and for the juxtaposition of there being the biggest H word, and the Madonna having been the blessed virgin.
Madonna's real name is Madonna, as was her mother's. Her full name at birth and today, Madonna Louise Ciccone. Where on earth did you get that it was a stage name to piss off her father? Lol. Honestly, I have no idea. I am very not brought up to speed with celebrity stuff. I'll take your word for it because I don't care enough to look it up. But I have seen similar things though, in like my community as well. It's like these wildest things that people, I don't even think it's malicious most of the time, but people have like think they heard something or just make something up and they just start spreading rumors. Like last thing that comes to mind, for example, is I think it was like on my subreddit or something where someone was randomly posted like, did you know that Click made his plushie from a piece of fan art? And I'm like, no! What are you talking about? I worked with an artist and iterated it like a dozen times to get to the design. What are you talking? I don't just snag random designs people make without commissioning them. So it's like these weird things that people think they have heard or like semi-make up and they just kind of lie about it. I don't think it's malicious even. I don't think they went out of the way to spread like a bad rumor. I think they told it as a funny story, but it has some implications and it's not actually true. So people on the internet, man, they do the darndest things.
A girl at 16 to 18 is not the same as a boy at 16 to 18. She is fully grown mentally and physically. He is not even close.
Ooh, that is, I mean, sure, boys and girls mature at slightly different ages physically, but the rest of the statement is really no.
Leftists have perverted even the very simple idea of the big bad P word in order to obfuscate the issue so we can't fight it. No, a grown man being attracted to a 16-year-old girl is not the P word. It is natural and normal. Now let's focus on the actual sick people who are attracted to children.
I don't know why you're posting it. Like, oh my god, everyone is confusing the argument when this is what you choose to argue. This is really weird. Why? And also, I think people's brains are still developing until roughly the age of 25. So sure, some people mature physically faster or hit puberty earlier than others, but that doesn't mean that someone is mentally mature. I mean, this is a super big problem with age gaps like this in general. You know, someone can be physically mature. That doesn't mean it's healthy, and it doesn't mean that it's an equal level relationship, and it's like really weird. And secondly, why would you even be interested in that? It's like a child. Like, for God's sake, man.
From a non-biblical view, a homosexual lifestyle is deviant, simply because all people, and animals, are here because of a heterosexual union. So nature clearly prefers heterosexuality.
Well, there are plenty of animals and species that do exhibit homosexual behavior, which would actually suggest that for the population as a whole, it is a beneficiary thing, because otherwise, you know, it wouldn't have occurred, if you want to make, you know, the evolutionary natural argument. So no, you're just factually wrong.
Secondly, homosexuals cannot prove they were born that way.
Doesn't that go for like literally everyone though? I mean, I can't prove that I was born the way. What do you mean? And why do you care?
They simply want us to take their word for it.
Do you mean like literally every single person in the world about their sexuality? Are you serious right now?
Numerous studies show that the likely percentage of people who are homosexual is perhaps around 5%. Contrast to that with the roughly 30% of millennial who identify as LGBTQ.
Well, okay, numbers I just made up basically without any source material. And also the 30% is referring, I believe, to the LGBTQ in general, as you said. You know, gay specifically is only one of the letters in the LGBTQ. So you're purposefully mixing and matching statistics here and also kind of just like pulling the numbers out of nowhere as well.
And it becomes clear that a large percentage of those have clearly made a choice. There is no way that percentage jumped from an historic 5% to 30% over the last recent few years without some social conformity phenomenon. Nature doesn't make changes that quickly. They are making a choice.
I mean, or also it's just that acceptance has gone up as well, which would also produce a higher number. You know, the people that would have to hide or, you know, be in the closet for their entire lifespan. You have countless historical figures that are still being retold to this day, like,
oh my god, she lived with her bestie, they even shared the same bedroom, they adopted kids together, and they're even buried next to each other. Oh my god, they're such besties.
Like, this was the norm in a lot of history, so it's not strange that as society becomes more accepting, the statistic, or, you know, the hidden numbers in the statistics will also, like, decrease, and hence the number itself, the percentage, will go up. That's just how it works. And also, the umbrella is just wider. It's not just straight and gay anymore. You have many different preferences and sexuality, as included the LGBTQ, which is why you think that 30% is so astoundingly high. It's an umbrella term. It's not like one singular thing as you try to like match it out to be.
Some would say love the sinner, not the sin. If you have a loved one who started using meth, you should very much continue to love that person. But it is very much okay to hate the drug addiction. Nothing good will come out of it.
Are you comparing a loving relationship between a couple of consenting adults that you have no say in to drug abuse? Is that really the comparison you get? Okay, not just mixing up stats left and right and making up statistics and comparing things that aren't comparable. Now we're also comparing preferences to drugs. Great.
But homosexuality doesn't hurt anyone, they will say. That is somewhat true. But the fact that nature's success formula clearly espouses heterosexuality is strong evidence that homosexuality can only be considered abhorrent behavior.
Yikes, you mean apart from, the gay penguins that literally adopt abandoned children from the rest of, the population? Absolutely freaking wholesomeness! I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that you have no authority or source material to back up any of the claims you have made, and you are indeed very silly. Thank you. Moving on. And before we move on, I think it's also important to mention that nature doesn't prefer anything. Like, natural selection happens over vast periods of time for a population, not for individuals. So if there is homosexual tendencies in an animal population, it means for some reason it has been beneficial for the survival of the population as a whole. For example, the penguins adopting other abandoned babies. I would think that's a pretty good deal. It obviously shows that, hey, the population produces more babies that it can care for due to various causes. So having some penguins that adopt penguins while producing them by themselves is maybe better for how much energy the population consumes versus how many babies it produces and loses. So just me spitballing, but there are plenty of reasons why this could occur naturally. So cease, good sir. On the topic of booba feeding, a mother of 3 who researched high and low during pregnancies, me on the left versus a self-proclaimed expert due to having pediatricians in her family and being a dietitian. I guess the dietitian trumps actual professionals. Literally look it up, it's recommended to continue till at least age 2. So yes, it does pass the infant stage. I swear people should need to take a test before being a parent. Judging a toddler for doing booba feeding like experts recommended.
Nice try, but you're wrong. When your child starts teething, it's time to quit the boobas. You seem to be ignorant one fighting to defend such an inappropriate habit. Glad you agree that your generation is raised by a dysfunctional generation, by the way. Doesn't mean you have to be the same. And just because one doctor recommends the boobas at a late stage doesn't mean that it's right. It's damaging to both the relationship with the mother and the development of the child. So booba milk is more nutritious, that's your excuse? So why don't we all just suck on the boobas because it's so good for our nutrition? I mean, we drink the moo-moo milk, but okay. Hell, an adult with teeth and a child with teeth basically ain't any different from each other. Pfft, get your head out of your butt, little girl.
Oh, wait, basically, so now the comparison, it's no longer that old post where everyone matures at, 14 or whatever. As soon as you have teeth, you're an adult. Jesus Christ, can't wait until the creepy side of Twitter get a hold of this argument. Yikes. But also, I'm gonna trust the doctor before some random toxic mom in a Facebook group. Thank you. Next.
Sorry, but any man who says they don't care about whether a girl has a flat tummy or not is lying. They absolutely care. And before any angry feminists try to attack me, don't even bother. Wanting a girl with a flat tummy doesn't make us bad or superficial. It's just evolution. It's not like we can help it. If a girl has a bump on her stomach, it's dead giveaway that she has lost her virginity.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be an argument about, I don't know, running from predators or something like that. Like, ooh, everyone with flat tummies run so fast from the saber-tooths when we were doing ooga booga, that's why flat tummy. But no, it just, it just went even more off the rails.
And even if some guys nowadays try to deny it, a virgin female has always and always will be the ideal mate for a man.
What?
That little bump is their uterus showing.
Darn, I missed this in biology class. Let's keep reading, shall we?
And it appears when a man does the sploosh inside sploosh sploosh. Because when the sploosh enters her personal space, it will swell so much that it becomes visible through the skin. Take it from someone who's taken his fair share of virginities over the years.
Press X to doubt.
Lol. Non-flat tummies are only ever hot if you're the reason they aren't flat anymore. Not including pregos, because prego bellies frankly look gross.
I'm gonna do the thumbnail face for this one. The frick? This is basically the male equivalent to those weird mom groups that suggest to, like, I don't know, rub pine cones on your toes to fix the flu. It's like, these are the two sides of the spectrum, you know? Oh my god, gender is a spectrum. You have mom groups, and then you have whatever this is, and everything in between. Woo!
You know, if you drive 20 miles faster than someone driving the speed limit and you're going 60 miles, you get there 2 minutes earlier. 2 minutes, is it really worth it?
But wait a second, you've only defined velocity. Where do you get the 2 minutes? You need a distance, because otherwise it's gonna vary a lot. What if you drive like 5 meters and it's 60 versus 20? There's no difference. But you know, if it's a really long distance, then of course the time is gonna increase. What are you talking about? Wait, here's a comment where they break it down. The equation to find the precise speed limit when there's a 2-minute difference, if anyone wants to do that for me, and it turns out to be 180 miles per hour. Wait, there's still no distance. This doesn't make sense. What? Maybe they're talking about like some context in a post that isn't visible in this cut. That might be it. But man, that's really fast. Yeah, that is really fast.
Imperial is superior, coming from a Canadian mechanic. Darn, my opinion will mean nothing. Imperial is way better. That's why most countries use the dollar.
But, okay, imperial, okay, that's very subjective. But also, most countries don't use the dollar. And why are you arguing that for a measurement system?
Ah yes, dollars per shotgun hamburger, the ultimate system.
Each measurement's got their place, I guess. I really don't think the dollar has much to do with measuring tolerances, you think?
The dollar is measured in imperial, like to the euro is worth 1.9. Imperial uses larger numbers, hence why every country uses it.
Imperial uses larger numbers, that's why other countries... The frick does that mean? Also, I don't even think that's the correct currency exchange rate. They're pretty close to each other nowadays, if I'm not mistaken. Everything in this thread is just so all over the place, man. This is like looking at an alternate universe. Are all these comments just generated by AI? Is that where this comes from? It's starting to feel like it. Were you injured by a COVID vaccine?
I'm not sure. Does waking up in the middle of the night to find you have no pulse count?
What, you mean you literally woke up dead? What do you... Okay.
It came back after maybe 5 minutes. But it happened repeatedly over the course of a week.
Well, that would explain the lack of oxygen to the brain, but your argument against the COVID vaccine is that you literally woke up dead multiple times this week? That's where this debate is at? Nice.
The problem with evolution is that it must be continuous. If a frog became a dog,
and that led to a monkey, and then us. Where are all the in-between breeds? Man, they've been playing too much Spore. But also, if you wanna do it like that, okay, evolution happens very slowly over very large spans of time for an entire population, right? So it's not that we came from monkeys, we have a common ancestor where the whole evolutionary tree split in two, and you had two separate populations that kept breeding with each other and slowly changing over time. I mean, I still don't understand why people find evolution to be so controversial or arguing against it. Like, does your kid have similar hair color to you? Or, you know, if you're short or tall, is your kid short or tall? You know, there's more to it, of course. You know, genetics can jump generations and mix and match and mutations and stuff. But for the most part, there are similarities between you and your kids, right? That is basically evolution on a very tiny scale. Imagine if you just extend that over, you know, hundreds of thousands of years or something, you're gonna have a significant change in the entire population because, you know, the random stuff happening and mutations and blah, blah, blah. That is how it works. And also, if you want to go really far back, you didn't come from a monkey, you came from a fish. So there you go.
Dear atheist, how is it that cavemen survived the asteroids but the dinosaurs didn't?
This is where we're at? Oh my god, no! Social distancing. They stayed 65 million years apart. Why do people always make these posts thinking they have some kind of zinger argument? And it's just like the most silly thing ever. Why does this happen? Don't they bounce this with anyone before making this like banger post? Oh my god, I just debunked the entire scientific body with this thing I thought about in the shower for 2 minutes. And then completely whooshed that title detail 65 million years. Great.
I've been very sick since those shots started rolling out, and I finally found a doctor that ran a test on me in early December. He detected I had 3 viruses in me, a flu in my nasal cavity, COVID in my joints, and HIV in my muscles from shedding a vaxxed person. You got an STD from the COVID vaccine? Are you... okay, and it's specifically in the muscles, and COVID in the joints, and okay. All right, I see you have a very significant understanding of disease.
Nice.
Last week, I was at urgent care with my unvaccinated 17-month-old. 3 different nurses or doctor asked me the following questions before even saying anything else. Has he ever been hospitalized? No. Has he ever had surgery? No. Chronic illness? No. Daily medications? No. Does he have any ongoing health issues or blah blah blah? No. You guys, they were actually in shock with each other in every answer. One nurse even said, "Wow, you're one of the lucky ones." I replied with, "My older son is very healthy too." How did he not see the difference? How is no one connecting the dots? She even told me how rare it was to be able to answer no on everything. They then wanted to know if I had given him anything for his fever today, which was only 101-ish at the office, and I said no. She looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language, you guys. Also looked at me as I was torturing my child by not treating his fever with Tylenol. Then when she asked me if I wanted anything, I also said no. You could tell she was just totally disgusted. Just ranting makes me so sad for so many kids.
I can see why you would think this is a good argument for like anti-vax stuff, but I think the reaction actually speaks for the opposite. That they are shocked that it's like, oh my god, you are so freaking lucky that nothing has happened with the way you're treating things. Like, their shock means that you would probably have expected something to go wrong, but it miraculously didn't. You got really lucky. This is like basically winning the lottery, but in reverse. It's not like, hey everyone, go play the lottery because this one person over here got rich with it. That's not an argument to like to prove consistency with it. It's really bad. God, science. There is no way that these two things go together. In science, I trust. God makes science possible. Actually, quite the opposite. Science would not be possible in an evolving universe. The laws of the universe would evolve and test results would keep changing. Okay. However, God keeps the universe operating by the consistent laws he created and upholds. Therefore, science is possible. I think we have fallen into this little trap again, where just concepts are mixed randomly, and people think it's like this banger argument. I don't get this. Like, evolving universe. You mean like animals going extinct? Or, you know, evolving? Or stars blowing up and planets forming. The constants and equations we use to describe the universe don't just magically change unless we change them to describe new scenarios that the old equations do not account for. Like, the universe doesn't change like that. Can you imagine if we just had like an awkward leap year system, but for physical equations? We just had to add 0.1 to random like constants in our physical equations every once in a year? Ah, beautiful.
Unless you have been in the north and you have done a similar walk, you wouldn't notice that the kilometers in the south are longer than in the north. 1.6 times longer or same as miles in the north.
Oh my, you were being serious, weren't you?
The speed limit in Germany is 160, the speed limit in Australia is 100, and the distance in Germany are much shorter. Interesting.
Wait a second. You're saying that like space-time curves differently in different countries? Because speed limits? Well, that is an interesting way of backward engineering the argument, I suppose. Flabbergasting. Teacher, can you see God? Class, no. Can you touch God? No. Then there is no God. Student raises their hand. Sir, can you see your brain? No. Can you touch your brain? No. Okay, so you don't have a brain. Oh, zinger. Put this as your status if you believe in God and you will stand up for him no matter. Okay, I take $500 for shite that never happened. Also, you can absolutely see your brain. You can just go into a scanner and you can literally see it just because it's encased in something. But also, it's a silly argument because the initial philosophical argument about it is actually quite interesting. How do you prove that something doesn't exist? It's a really hard argument to make, which is also why in science the burden of proof is always on the claimant, because it's pretty much impossible to prove that something doesn't exist, but, you know, in most cases in the world you have to prove that something do exist if you want to make a case. So the whole thing is just like a made-up conversation, but the initial argument is actually quite interesting.
Never eat food without praying over it. Radionics is imprinting your biological frequency onto a material object, then bringing that material into your body with bioresidence of your aura. Quantum entanglement proves this. Subcellular communication.
Let me just squeeze a bunch of terms I think sound freaking complex into this random post. There are so many spin-offs and stuff like this that I've seen online. I remember seeing something that if you sing to your like table water or something like that, it changes the structure in it and you absorb it better and it hydrates you good. I don't know, it's just random made-up stuff. It's so wild.
Pray on your food so it imprints on you and vibrates properly when you eat it. The key to understanding the moon landing hoax is to realize that there is no scientific deception. It is spiritual deception. Symbolism is important. The NASA logo includes the forked tongue of a serpent to symbolize that under the control of the great serpent, Satan.
Look at this, if you have the NASA logo and zoom out, oh my god, it's a snake. This is the big, real NASA logo they don't want you to see. That is why all the logos you see all over the place are so zoomed in, so we don't see the snake.
Excellent point. Spacewalks would be impossible in reality. As soon as you let go of the space station, it would zoom away. You'd have to wait until it goes all the way around the ball Earth, and maybe you can try to catch it on the way back around. But if it's moving 17,000 miles per hour, sorry, but you'll be vaporized when it hits you. Space is fake.
This is like the most basic, physics that you learn in like high school. If you jump out of a car or any vehicle, you will, at the moment of you jumping out, go at the same speed of the vehicle you were sitting in, because you're going at the same momentum. Then, of course, when you jump out of the car, you hit the ground, and then, resistance and air and that kind of stuff slows you down eventually, so the car speeds away. But in space, you don't have the air resistance, so unless something else is accelerating the space station away from you, or you yourself has some kind of thing, that you're moving in a different direction or a different acceleration, you will just keep going in the same direction as the station at the same speed. What?
Ban tampons now! Tampons make Jesus cry. Well, tell him to stop being such a little bitch. Every time you use one, you're violating your body, losing your V-card before marriage, and increasing your risk of AIDS by 200%.
Look at this random stat with this completely unrelated thing I just pulled out of my butt.
Have you been shot by Satan's bullets?
All users go to hell! Oh my god, I just picture like a really pimped out gun with little Satan horns that just shoots tampons.
Stay chastity and ban tampons now!
This is the peak of evolution. Humans are the most complex being that we know so far in the observable universe. Isn't that just beautiful?
Fellas, some women have masculine spirits attached to them, and when you lay with them, these spirits can transfer onto you, which can cause you to desire a man. Spiritual transfer is real. Guys, you better look out. If a female has a masculine stand like in JoJo, it makes you gay.
13 moons on turtle's back. 13 moons and 28 days on all turtle shells. This equals 364 days plus 1 day of rest. All indigenous people around the world knew the wisdom of the turtle and followed the 13-month calendar. After all, there are 13 moon cycles in a year and 27 to 29 days per cycle. It's almost as if white men subtracted 1 month in order to sever the connection between the people and the sun, moon, and stars, which are themselves a giant clock.
We removed a month from the turtle calendar to remove the connection to the sun? What?
White woman gives birth to a black baby and accuses her husband of doing naughty stuff with a black girl.
Ah, isn't that just beautiful? Oh, yes, indeed. This feels like something that would belong on like r/Bad Women's Anatomy or something. No one will know you've had an abortion unless you tell them. As long as you don't use medication in your personal area, that could be seen as a pelvic exam. Pass it on, tell a friend.
That is actually false,
says Matt. Hold my beer, folks. Captain Math is telling the gynecologist how it works. Oh, yes, indeed, Captain Matt here with the information that he found somewhere hidden up his butt. That is totally not complete bullcrap. It is actually facts. Space theories on TikTok. No matter where you are, everyone is always connected. What does that mean? Okay, anyway, next picture. In 2016, we received a mysterious radio signal from a source 5 billion light years away. That means when the signal began its journey, Earth was not even found. What do you mean, found? What is it? I mean, if you mean that the Earth was formed 4.5 billion years ago, and when this source started traveling, that's when, before the Earth was formed, that is correct, but what do you mean the Earth was not found? What? Of course it wasn't. It didn't exist. Coincidence? Here is a picture of a human cell, and here's a picture of the Earth. I think not. Yeah, imagine like a bunch of round things having layers. If that's the argument, the Earth also looks like an onion. What are you getting at? There are only so many like basic shapes, a bunch of stuff is gonna look similar. That's, oh god. Let's see, Milky Way galaxy, gamma ray emissions, X-ray emissions. We are the universe learning about itself. Nassim, cell division. I do like the quote though, that we are the universe observing itself is pretty cool, like philosophical take, but this is just, oh, look at these things looking the same. The galaxy is cell dividing, even though it literally has nothing to do with each other. What? the universe as above, a bunch of flying stuff. The womb seen below, also a bunch of flying stuff. You see, asteroids are space sperm. There is actually an interesting theory about like seeding in the universe, that beings, or well, small beings and bacteria and stuff can potentially survive long enough on asteroids, so like it can travel between planets when there's impact and stuff. I mean, it's a theory in science that is a little bit fascinating, but this is just dumb. Here we go. Here's an eyeball and patterns, and here is similar patterns like nebulas and arteries and wow, look, yeah. Damn, that's... What does this prove exactly? I mean, if you had just retitled this video as cool stuff that looks similar, like that's perfectly fine. Just like cool patterns that can be found in multiple places. That would be fine. But I don't know what the argument is here. It's so weird. Brain cells, universe. The universe is a brain. DNA, double helix nebula. We have little nebulas inside of us. Eye and crab nebula. Are we living inside the body of a huge creature? Is this where TikTok science is at? A nebula has roughly a round shape with a little bit of patterns. Must be the eye of a celestial giant. You know, never mind the scale, you know, of the universe compared to like how tiny this nebula actually is in comparison, but... Tree of life, human placenta, tree stump fingerprint, lung, tree branch, leaf veins, human veins, river network. What is this also proving that Earth is a giant leaf? Brain cell universe, birth of a cell, death of a star. I swear to God. Oh, here's another eye. It's comparing the nebula again. Wasn't this already used in the same thing? The golden ratio. I mean, that is actually a fascinating concept that is like reoccurring in many places. That is why it's called the golden ratio, I suppose. So this picture is actually cool. Okay, this picture has my approval. That's cool. That's cool. Brain cells galaxies. There we go. Fam, galaxies are brains. Okay, that's the end of the video. Thank God I don't have to look at any more of that. TikTok science. I mean, I've seen cool, like, quick science pieces on TikTok. There are accounts that do, like, chemistry experiments and stuff. They're always fun, but this is just a little bit weird. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching this video, you beautiful beings. I do have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you again in the very near future. Take care. Mwah.